ask me how important the Second Amendment is, well, it's the one that protects all the other rights. And what people don't understand is the Second Amendment isn't given to us by our government. It was given to us because we're creatures of God. It was given to us by our Maker.
Today, the judicial proceedings, the JPR committee is going to be holding its gun day, so they're going to be having hearings on gun bills today. Unfortunately, there are a number of bills that have been put in the name of improving public safety, targeting lawful gun ownership. All of those bills miss the mark. They don't deal with the real problem with public safety and that criminals are using guns to commit crimes.
So today is Gun Day in the Senate, and this is a tradition that the Senate Judicial Proceedings Committee and also the House Judiciary Committee, they will basically batch any of the major gun bills together and schedule them for hearings on one day. And that allows proponents and opponents on these bills to come up and be involved in the process, to come to the hearings and to testify if they so wish.
I'm from Conowingo, Maryland. I'm here to support Second Amendment and do away with bills that restricts our amendments.
From Calvert, I'm here on SB 86, which will ban hunting for anyone under 21. I live on rural property. All my kids hunt, I hunt, and it is wrong to ban hunting for someone who can serve 2 tours of duty in the military.
I'm from Quantico, Maryland. I'm here just to observe the protest for one, but also I want to carry to protect my family, and just being able to carry at home practically is not where the problem is.
I'm from Silver Spring, Maryland, and I definitely think my Second Amendment is just as valuable as any of the other 26th Amendment, and it's my right and my freedom to own a firearm, to carry a firearm, and I'm going to be here to represent that.
I'm from Frederick, Maryland, and I'm here to defend the Constitution and the Bill of Rights against SB 1, which will make it illegal for people that have a handgun permit to carry anywhere in the state of Maryland, which is, on its face, just wrong.
I'm from Southern Maryland. I'm here to hopefully make a difference in trying to fight back these really horrible, terrible, evil, bad bills they're trying to do this year, with SB 1 being the first one.
I'm from Somerset County, Maryland. We're here trying to rally against these gun laws that are being proposed, being heard in the Judicial Committee in the Senate today.
Right now, our lawful gun owners are the one thing in society that's promoting public safety. They're the safest. The statistics prove this. They show this. That lawful gun ownership is not a bad thing.
If they make the effort to come here in person, they are at least given 2 minutes to share their views. And while many people will wait hours and hours, it's really important that your voice is heard on a bill such as Senate Bill 1, and this is the bill that would restrict the right to concealed carry.
I'm from South Baltimore. I'm here to fight against the number of gun laws they're trying to pass this year that affect us, trying to take our ability to securely protect ourselves, and I'd like, try to keep those from moving forward.
I'm from Churchville, Maryland, and I am here to defend my Second Amendment rights, which Maryland is trying to strip down to the bare bones.
I'm from the Shelbyville, Delaware area for residents. My business is in Salisbury, Maryland. I am here to testify against Bill SB 1, which has been nicknamed the Can't Carry Anywhere bill. I'm here hoping to make a difference as a former and retired law enforcement officer who is from the Baltimore City area, and I've seen firsthand what gun violence can do. However, this bill will not do anything to actually prevent further gun violence from taking place.
Do I think it'll help? No. The Democrats have been deflecting on the issue and blaming lawful, legal gun owners for the problems in their communities that they refuse to address.
It's as important as any of them. Our Bill of Rights on its face, the Bill of Rights is our legal ability to defend ourselves and to give us all our freedoms. And the Democrats want to take that away, all of it. That's called tyranny.
I'm Ocean Pines, Maryland, and I'm here to protest the new laws they're trying to pass. And I want the right to carry a gun anytime. And I don't like the way the country's going right now, and I want to be protected.
In a lot of cases like this, the mind's already made up. But I think if enough show up and support it, that it will maybe turn or teeter the process, because of our Second Amendment shouldn't be taken from us.
Hopefully they listen to us.
I have my doubts, but I think it's going to end up in the Supreme Court again.
The votes in support of the legislation clearly are with the majority, so we are in the minority, and it's unfortunately we have the obligation of proving the case, and so we're going to have to use every effort that we can. To me, the most important tool is what we have locally, and so not to get lost in what is said and done in Annapolis, but for our citizens in our district to be not overreactive, but not to also stand down. This is a time for gun owners to stand up and speak clearly.
I personally do think that it will help with the members of being here today, and we're just not going to stop. We're going to keep on until we get it.
It's a backdoor attempt to ban carry permits without banning them, because the Supreme Court said that you have to give them out. So they're trying another approach, which is to make them useless by saying you can't carry at certain places, and the places that are outlining is pretty much everywhere.
I think my presence here will help. I've been here doing this for since about 2010, coming down here, and we've had some effect. If nothing else, we've neutered the law some, but we hope we can change more minds this year.
I'm hoping that even if we can't sway them, the courts will prove it unconstitutional after it's all said and done.
There's 120,000 permit holders now. There used to be maybe 20, give or take. I might be wrong on this. So a lot of people really believed in the Second Amendment, to go through the classes, to spend the money. And now all Maryland wants to do is, they already have a carry law in process, and now they just want to take it back. They're almost like a child that didn't get their way, and they just want to strip more from you to make your permit basically useless.
I personally think it's fear. I think that they're just so afraid of the Second Amendment because of the fact that it's just fear. They're not knowledgeable enough to know about guns and how guns are used and all that, and they just listen to the media, and which always represents a lot of negative information and stuff, and it's just fear. Just fear. They just don't know enough to understand.
So I met with some of the representatives, and they are, they're really supportive of us being here. They're happy we're here. They tell us that, without us, there's no them. So they're behind us 100%, and they're glad we're up here fighting for our rights.
Shall not infringe. That's the basic one. I believe. I remember when I hear the Second Amendment. Don't infringe my rights in the Second Amendment.
It's my right to bear arms and to be here.
So I'm here to hopefully educate and provide information from the standpoint as being a former law enforcement officer who has seen firsthand what gun violence is and how it affects people in the community, and how certain laws will not help prevent that. This happens to be one of them, in my opinion, and I hope to provide that information to not just the folks of the House and the Senate, but also to the general public as well.
These are not the issues that are driving crime that's out of control going across the country. Somehow we've gotten to a point where there's a discourse where people don't understand that the problem is not the lawful gun owner, it's the criminals. Right now, if you look at violent offender warrants, how many citizens in Maryland are walking around the streets that are a violent offender, that is a warrant out for their arrest? You'll be amazed to find out what that number is. There's some very simple things that can be done to improve public safety. Going after lawful gun owners is the wrong way to try to do that. And the reaction is going to be apparent today because I understand there's 300 or 400 people signed up to testify, and they're not just coming to testify. They've got a strong, clear message. So I encourage citizens throughout the district and throughout the state to use their other constitutional right, that First Amendment right, to speak clearly, not overreacting. We don't need to attack the other side, but just to be clear that, a gun in itself, a firearm in itself, is not a threat. It's amazing the fortitude and the dedication that so many people have to set aside their daily lives to come up and spend a day in Annapolis. There's 300 to 400 witnesses today. The hearings will likely go into the early morning hours. Many of those witnesses are going to stay to the very end, and they're here doing their civic duty to articulate these priorities to the policymakers who, unfortunately, I think get wrapped up in politics. This is a political issue for some in Annapolis, but for citizens, it is not. I mean, it is a fundamental thing that their ability to own a firearm, which is, protected by the Second Amendment. And I just can't say thank you enough to those that have set aside their time, taking time off of work, our family lives, things like that, to come up and participate in this process, because we legislators are only as strong as the people that lift us up. Having them here to testify and to support us in the effort to, unfortunately, oppose these bills, because I don't like to be negative about everything, but these bills are going in the wrong direction. To have their support here is just priceless to the process. So thank you to everyone who has made the time to come up and participate, both in person, online, and even through letters and emails.
There's a ton of people signed up to testify this afternoon, which is great.
And I do believe it'll help if you get enough people here and you get enough legislators to know that people want change. They don't want to go back in time. That's what Maryland's trying to do.
This is a major piece of legislation. It would affect my constituents across the board. I'm hearing from a lot of constituents who are very concerned about this legislation, strongly oppose it, and are basing it on their constitutional right and also the fact it's been declared unconstitutional in other states.
And it predates our country. It dates back to the Magna Carta days. So, the idea or concept that we're given these rights from our elected officials is just backwards. And it's time that they go study something and understand that.
Shall not infringe.
Shall not be infringed is the most important piece, and that's what they're doing every year, infringing upon the rights that, it's when they get this one, when they finally get this one, what stops them from going after all the others, right?
So the Constitution protects your individual rights. Whether this person or that person doesn't like it, that's why the Constitution is there, to defend your rights. Whether you use that right or not, you still have that right. That's why we really need to abide by the Constitution.
All the amendments, have to be equal. There's not one doesn't rise above the others. The Second Amendment is just as important as the First, the Fourth, the Fifth, and the 27th. They're codified as such because they are so important. You can't have one without the other, and the 2A needs to stand right alongside the 1A in the ability of the people to exercise it.
It would also be an opportunity for those who are supporting the legislation to ask them, would they also support legislation that would increase the penalties for repeat violent offenders using guns?
So it is extremely important to communicate with your representatives, because an unheard voice is an unknown voice. If you have concerns about what's going on in the House and the Senate, you very much so need to speak your voice and have your representatives hear you. Being from the Eastern Shore of Maryland, I can say firsthand our representatives have been very hands-on with our concerns in this bill, and I believe they are in many others. So if you have a concern about a bill that's coming up, whether it be something that's Second Amendment related as this one is, or anything else, you should absolutely reach out to your representatives and let them know how you feel.
does nothing to prevent crime. If someone is going to take a gun into somewhere to do something with it, the law's not going to change anything.
I think it's very important for a representative to see his constituents out. I don't think a lot of people ever go and really talk to them. I mean, luckily for my county, my legislators are on board.
So I want to thank all of my constituents who are making that extra effort to come here in person. And many people left early this morning because I've already seen them walking over to the State House for our session earlier. So they probably got up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to be here. They are making every effort to have their voice heard. They will be here for the hearings, and we expect, especially SB 1, to go several hours, which means you will have people that left early this morning from the shore, traveled all the way up here, will wait all day simply to have their 2 minutes on the record in opposition. And of course, that would be the same for any of the proponents as well. So people are making the effort, and it's something like this, when it is a fundamental constitutional right, they are doing everything they can to oppose this legislation, to have this legislation change.
There are probably half the states in this country that are constitutional carry, that if you can own it, you can carry it. And more states every year. Would I like to see Maryland that way? Yes, I would. I still do like the aspect of training, though, that you do get some kind of training with it. But yes, if it came down to it, I would like to see Maryland a constitutional carry state. And that's another task for the Supreme Court. That'll be coming down the road.
So the Second Amendment is super important to everyone's right as a citizen of the United States. Whether you are for or against it, it is no different than the First Amendment or the Fourth Amendment. These amendments were put in place by our founding fathers so that we remain a free society. They're there for a reason. You can't pick and choose and say, oh, I believe that you should still have the First Amendment and the Fourth Amendment, and forget about the Second. The Second Amendment is what keeps the Fourth Amendment and the First Amendment there for us.
The Constitution declares your rights. Whether it's right or wrong in your opinion, my opinion, the Constitution is what we need to go by. And there is a right to bear arms. And if you don't like it, it is what I shouldn't say it is what it is, but it's still my right, whether you like it or you don't.
What's often confused is many people believe that the Second Amendment is only for a well-maintained militia, and it is not. There's a preamble, an amble, and a context. The preamble is for the right of the free state to maintain a well-regulated militia. The second portion of the Second Amendment is for the individual right to keep and bear arms, not the initial militia. So it is often misinterpreted.